K-Squid.
The views and opinions expressed in this program do not necessarily represent those of Natural Bridges Media or KSQD's staff, volunteers, or underwriters.
Welcome to Talk of the Bay. I am your host, Len B.A., and with me today is Consuelo Alba. Consuelo Alba is the executive director and the co-founder of the Watsonville Film Festival. Consuelo is a visionary arts leader harnessing the transformative power of film and culture to ignite social change in Santa Cruz County and beyond. Under her leadership, the Watsonville Film Festival has grown from a grassroots collective into a nationally recognized cultural force, offering year-round programming, supporting local filmmakers, and redefining what a film festival can be: an inclusive, community-centered space for dialogue, joy, and inspiration. Consuelo was born and raised in Mexico City. Her early career as a journalist laid the foundation for her lifelong commitment to amplifying the underrepresented voices. As a documentary filmmaker, Consuelo explores cultural identity, healing, and justice. Her award-winning short documentary, El Andalón, The Healer, screened at more than 30 international festivals, won 7 awards, and was broadcast on Mexican public television. She is co-director of a new film, The Long Labor. The 14th annual Watsonville Film Festival begins Thursday, March 12th, and runs through Saturday, March 21st, with showings in Watsonville and during the second weekend in Salinas and Santa Cruz. Consuelo Alba, welcome to Talk of the Bay.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for taking the time to talk with us today. As a nonprofit organization, Watsonville Film Festival not only provides an audience for independent filmmakers, but also provides support and funding for many of the filmmakers you feature. In the U.S., we don't really support the arts as they are supported in many other countries. Could you talk about the difference that support makes in enabling films to be made and seen and for those stories to be heard?
Yes, it's very significant. Our organization is very small, but early on we realized that we needed to go beyond just sharing films and exhibiting films. We realized that there was so much talent and so many stories that needed to be told that in 2022, we started the Cine Se Puede initiative, which is basically supporting local emerging filmmakers to tell their own stories. So we started with a program that included mentorship and very little funding, small grants, but these made a huge difference because every year we see more filmmakers. This year we are presenting 2 films that we funded earlier on, and it's really wonderful to see how much we can do with so little. Imagine if we had the real resources that are needed to tell these stories. So basically we are just planting these seeds. Our grants are small, but they mean so much to our local filmmakers because it's very hard to find funding for films. Films are extremely difficult to make. You always make a film in community. It's very hard to make a film by yourself. So we want to honor and support filmmakers in that way so they can pay crews, they can pay some basic stuff to produce their films. And it's incredible what we have seen once the filmmakers have that support, what they can do with that.
Yes, and I know for a lot of entry-level filmmakers, if they can make enough to cover, rent and food, that's a living for them. And I think most of us are so used to thinking about Hollywood blockbusters, and there's millions of dollars involved. But the kind of budgets that a lot of these films are working with are pretty small, right? Like,
yes.
What's pretty typical for, say, you're featuring a lot of shorts in the film festival. So,
yes.
Say a 15-minute film, how much can someone do a film like that for?
Is very relative. I mean, as we know, there are shorts that are millions of dollars, but of course, our films that we're presenting can go from $6,000 to $20,000 to $60,000. And many of these projects that we're presenting are actually passion projects. These are projects that the filmmakers feel so strongly about wanting to tell this story that they put all this energy and free labor with their friends to produce these films. So these are some of the films you will see here at the Watsonville Film Festival that are not seen anywhere else because, again, it's not only funding films, it's also about distribution. Once you finish your film, it's very hard to find those places that are going to screen your film.
Right, and it seems that the distribution of films has become more and more monopolized, and so it's more and more homogeneous now than it used to be. And when you speak of people doing these as passion projects, I've attended Watsonville Film Festival, I think, maybe 4 times over the past 6 years, perhaps. And one of the striking things about the films is how much they are really works of a genuine care and involvement where people really know their subject and care about it, and that comes through in the films in a way that seeing a very commercial film doesn't have that kind of heart.
Exactly. There has been an exclusion in the film industry of specifically Latinos. So it's very hard to see Latino films made by Latinos. And that's something that we are very proud of, to present these incredible lineup of films where you see stories that you never see anywhere else because they are about the humanity and the complexity of the community. What we tend to see in mainstream media is basically the same, very shallow, very stereotypical characters. And what we see here at the Watsonville Film Festival is like people saying, I have this story about my grandmother, and this is how things went. Or my mom was a single mother, and I needed a father figure, and I found this person. And so these incredible stories, they humanize us, and that's really important for us in these times, to show who we are truly in complexity and beauty, and we're very proud of supporting these filmmakers.
Yeah, and the festival includes a mixture of both fictional stories and documentaries. About what's the mix like?
Yes, we have a lot of documentary films this year. I would say half and half. We have a lot of fiction shorts, and then we have several feature documentary films. We have a lot of films from UCSC this year, from the Social Documentation Master's Program. Every year we have a lot of their films because they are wonderful documentary films, and we also have films from CSUMB, and they tend to be fiction. And then we have local filmmakers who are doing both, and then we curate a program of award-winning films from different festivals that we invite to participate. So it's a mix.
Yeah, and I've some of the films that I've seen, I've literally seen nowhere else, and have been extraordinary, really extraordinary films. And the ones that I think some of these were ones you took from other festivals elsewhere. And this is really the only opportunity for people here in this area to see those films because no movie theater is bringing them in. If a library or another organization is bringing them in, it's kind of a one-off chance. So this is, to me, one of the most extraordinary things about the Watsonville Film Festival is you won't see most of these films anywhere else. This is your one chance to get exposed to these cinematic works that are really amazing. So how do you screen? Like, you have staff, you have a board,
yes,
which is really represents a diverse range of people here in the whole Pajaro Valley region. How do you decide which films are going to get shown and which ones you have to pass on?
Yeah, we have an open call for films, and we encourage local filmmakers to submit. Our festival is very small, actually, in comparison to many film festivals that are really big and present lots and lots and lots of films. We are very intentional how we program and select our films, because we want to have full houses. We don't want to have like 100 films, but some of them are not so well attended, right? So we are very intentional about like, we can accommodate these many films, and we know we are going to have a lot of people coming to see these films. So we make them accessible in terms of like Thursday afternoon, Saturday, all day, and Sunday. We are not presenting films on Monday, Tuesday, or in the mornings, for instance. So that creates, our schedule then gets smaller and smaller. So we have to be very intentional about like highlighting local films, and we have a programming team that reviews all the films that are submitted to the Watsonville Film Festival, and then we make decisions based on our criteria that has to do with the theme of the year, which is resistance, as art as resistance this year. And then we also have films that reflect the values of the festival, which is celebrating our shared humanity. And so we present these, we select these films, and then we create programs with these films, mostly shorts, because that's what we can accommodate the most. And our local filmmakers are not necessarily making lots of feature films. That's why we are very focused on shorts, and we invite feature films. Sure. And then they have to be connected to the mission of the Watsonville Film Festival in some way.
Great. And I noticed like the program each night or each afternoon is often a collection of shorts, and they're kind of tied together by some thematic relationship. And that's one of the ways that I found was an amazing way to get exposure, because if you just go to a film, one feature-length film, that's what you get. And if the film is great, great. And if it's not so great, it's okay. But when you have a whole grouping of films like that, you get all sorts of stories.
Exactly.
And you get an enormous variety of styles of how they're presented and directed, and the cinematography varies by filmmaker. Everything has that personal touch. And to me, the sheer variety makes them all kind of stand out. Like your opening night is titled Historias de Vida y Amor, Stories of Life and Love. And you can tie so many different stories together under that theme.
Exactly.
So you get a lot of variety, and you get some amazing work by people who aren't getting much attention from Screen Magazine or whatever. So
yes, exactly. And and the way we curate the program is very intentional. Again, we have to make some very, very hard decisions selecting films, because we want to create a program that is going to say something, that is going to speak like the way you're saying, and presents this variety of styles and stories. And there is a conversation within each one of the programs. When we have the festival, we start talking about curation. What are the themes that you see in these films? They are so different, but there is something that brings them together. Can you see what that is? So the conversations get deeper and deeper, and especially when we have the Q&As with the filmmakers after screening their films. They share their perspective, why they made this film, why this story was important, the creative decisions they made. So it's a very rich experience to see the films, to think about why they are all together in this program, and then hear from the artist. And so that's the experience of the Watsonville Film Festival.
Mm-hmm. For listeners who may just be tuning in, my guest is Consuelo Alba. She is the executive director and the co-founder of the Watsonville Film Festival, which is about to begin its 14th annual festival, mostly at Green Valley Cinema, I believe, right? And you mentioned about having filmmakers be at the film showings. And for people who haven't gone to film festivals before, that's one of the things that makes a film festival such a unique experience, because you get to see a film, you get that full force of the vision of the filmmaker, and then you see, oh, here's the person who directed it, or 3 people who worked on the film, or whoever happens to be present, and they're the storytellers. They're the ones who've created this medium for expressing something that's clearly beyond just their own footprint. And that, to me, is one of the magical things about it. So out of all these films, I'm sure you can't have every filmmaker there. Do you decide, do you screen who you're going to have in to talk, or is it based on who's available?
Exactly. Yeah, we have many filmmakers coming every year, and yes, everybody's invited. It's a big deal to present your film and engage in conversation with the audience. As you said, it's a magical part of the festival to have that dialogue with the audience after watching the films. Filmmakers love to be in the audience and hearing their reactions when people are watching their films. So yes, we have many filmmakers attending. Some of them are traveling from Mexico City, from Chile, from the Bay Area, from Los Angeles. So we're going to have a big turnout of filmmakers, and it's a celebration. That's why we call it a festival. It's celebrating film and celebrating creativity and having fun and having a great time connecting as filmmakers. So this part of the Q&A is very, very special.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and I'm sure anyone who's ever enjoyed any film has had a thought, I wish I could ask.
Exactly.
And this is your chance. You actually get to ask questions about
because
something in the film.
Imagine, and especially with shorts, it's like, sometimes you film for hours and hours and hours, and your film is 15 minutes. What made it into the film and what was not there, and why, and everything has a reason. And then the more you learn about the film and the filmmakers, the more you appreciate the work. And that's what we see throughout the years, especially people who hadn't experienced film festivals. Mm-hmm. When a member of their family, their son, I'm a filmmaker, I'm presenting my film at the Watsonville Film Festival. And their parents, it's the first time they go to a film festival. And then they're like, wow, I didn't realize it was this fun. They feel part of it. It's really a wonderful experience, especially for many local families that, again, we're presenting local films. They are celebrating their children making films, and it's a community celebration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and virtually every night of the festival has an after party.
Yes.
With live music. How did that tradition get started, and what's special about those after parties?
Yes, we have always had one party, because we bring all these filmmakers, we bring the community together, and it's really, really great to just be able to connect beyond the movie theater and just celebrate together, enjoy, and dancing, and with live music. So our community loves partying. And then we realized, okay, our parties are super popular. And we started with one, and then the last few years we have had one every night, and they become bigger and bigger. And people are like, okay, yes, it's the festival and the after parties, and we bring great, great bands, and it's a wonderful celebration. We are very grateful to Buena Vista Brewing Company, because we host all our events there here in Watsonville, and they are a family-owned business, and they are creating a beer for us that is commemorative of this year. They did it last year, and this year we have another one that they are creating for us. There's actually a film
festival beer, right?
Yes. And our logo this year, our design, our poster has the cactus.
Yes.
With the prickly pears.
Prickly pear cactus.
Yeah, in Spanish we call it tuna. So the beer is going to have prickly pear. It's going to
And,
be very special.
You know, I know a lot of people in our listening audience have eaten la tuna or had it as juice or have had it in many forms, but one of my favorite is sorbet, like sorbeto. It's just like,
yes,
on a hot
it's
day.
so good.
It's like, wow.
Yes, so, we all make it special that they got inspired with the poster, with the nopal and the tunas, and then they are creating this beer for us. So the parties are super fun. We have great bands every year. And, it's how we celebrate our culture, our community, with film, with dance, with music, with joy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love that part of your vision statement is to have a cultural movement that builds community with intention and joy.
Yes.
And that's so embodied in the way the festival is put together. This year's theme is Art as Resistance. Could you talk about the choice of the theme, and especially in this past year, seeing everything that has been coming down in the country and in the world, about the meaning of that theme?
Yeah. For us, selecting this theme, Art as Resistance, was very important because it has always been there, but we wanted to make it more evident, affirming our existence and affirming our contributions to this society as a Latino community. And in the face of all these attacks and targeting our community, we wanted to celebrate what's beautiful, what's positive, what is inspiring, because we need to counter all that negativity. And we wanted to do it the way we do it, with joy, with celebration, with creativity, with love, and through the arts. The arts are very powerful ways to resist. And then we wanted to just make it more evident. We are going to have these celebrations, music, films, and the idea is that this shows who we are and reclaim our agency and reclaim our own stories and inspire people to continue.
Wonderful. It's amazing how powerful a role that art plays, and obviously by itself, it's only expression, yes. But the role that it plays in helping people connect and in keeping our spirits up when we're involved in struggle, when we're involved in resistance to anything, is incredible. And I've seen that in music also, and in film, and even in dance, and even in visual arts. It has a profound effect. It speaks to our spirits, which I think so often, at least in public dialogue, we neglect. So I really appreciate that has taken form here in the 14th annual Watsonville Film Festival. You mentioned that you have at least a couple of films that you helped support the filmmakers to make.
Yes, this year we're presenting a film that was supported by the Watsonville Film Festival initiative, Cine Se Puede, and is El Regreso del Miedo. And that film, the Return of Fear. It's an experimental film, and it's exactly connected to what we are talking about. The filmmaker is Berenice Manzano, and it's a film about like nightmares of an immigrant family, how the trauma, how it manifests through nightmares and visions of being persecuted and being attacked and being targeted. And she made this film in a way that shows that fear, like how families feel this fear in a very existential way. So it's very powerful. It's kind of scary, but she did an amazing job just creating this environment where it's like literally a nightmare. So that's a film that we're presenting Friday, March 13. Mm-hmm. And we are, right now we have another group of local filmmakers, 3 grantees of the Watsonville Film Festival receive a grant this year to work on specific projects that hopefully we'll see at the festival next year. And those films are, one is about a Watsonville boxer champion. And that one is directed by Genevieve Rico. And she's following the story of this famous boxer, Karina Moreno, that many people know. She's a boxing champion, and she's thinking of retiring. So she is going to make a film about that, how she's going to do that, and she's going to continue with her legacy, training other people. And then we have another film by a local filmmaker, and she's making a film about mothers. Her mother died when she was pregnant, and that's a story that repeated in her family. And so she's making a film about that, what it means to lose a mother. So these are the kind of films that we have in the community that we support, and this was possible thanks to generous grant from Bud and Rebecca Colligan that supported our filmmakers.
Great. Well, 2 things I want to follow up on. One is about the way that you get funding and how much of it you're able to raise locally, but also just as in reflection on the film that is going to be shown this year, The Nightmares. And my wife does some volunteer work with the what do we call it? The Allied Resistance, and speaks to people who are seeking casual jobs, who you might meet at a lumber yard or something, to let them know about resources, let them know about what the law says your rights are, which doesn't necessarily mean government agents will follow it, but it's so that at least people understand what's going on. And the stories are extraordinary because you realize, okay, even if you didn't have to worry about raids, it's an extremely difficult task to take on coming into the country without a document, or coming in with a visa but then overstaying it, which is even more common. And then what you have to watch out for, in every step you take, and how vulnerable you are, for exploitation by employers and everything else. And to add on top of that, the fear of, a sort of a summary imprisonment or deportation. It's, I think, for most of us non-Latin people born in the U.S., it's hard to imagine. This is extreme, and yet people come through it not just with a very matter-of-fact perspective about it, understanding what they face and what potential consequences they may face, but just extraordinary courage to me.
Yes.
To be able to continue, have a sense of humor, have wonderful moments with friends and family, and still go out every day and try and, make a living, just impresses me with the spirit that people bring to that challenge. And knowing that in many cases people have come because of circumstances in their country of origin that my government has contributed to making those circumstances. So it's a little bit of anguish there. So to return to the subject.
Very
we're
well
gonna
put, by the way.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you for confirming that I have an understanding of this. We're going to take a really short break, and we'll be back in just a minute with more conversation with Consuelo Alba. Don't go away. Welcome back to Talk of the Bay. I'm Len B.A., and with me is Consuelo Alba, Executive Director and co-founder of Watsonville Film Festival, which is now celebrating its 14th year as a film festival. We've spoken a little bit about how much you can do with a little in supporting independent and small filmmakers. And much of your funding, of course, comes from people paying to come to the festival. But you also get donations and rely on those. And I wondered if you could give us a sense of how does it work? How do you get enough money to keep Watsonville Film Festival going?
Yes, it's a lot of work. It's all year round that we apply for grants. A lot of support comes in the form of grants. So we apply for grants all year, and we get support from the Community Foundation, from the Arts Council, Santa Cruz County, from the Packard Foundation, from a couple of national foundations. And then we also have sponsorships for the festival. We don't do fundraising at the end of the year because we know everybody is fundraising around that time and there are so many needs in our community. But we reach out to businesses and individuals to support and sponsor the festival. So that's another way to raise funds for the festival, because the tickets don't even cover the minimum of the cost of producing a festival. Film festivals are extremely expensive to run. We have to rent venues, we have to work on the technical pieces, we have to have, tech people helping. It's very tech-oriented, what we do. So we work with our team of professionals, and we want to compensate them fairly, and we fundraise all year. And then we have our awesome Amigos del Festival. These are our monthly donors, and they support our work all year round, because that's what's important to clarify, that the Watsonville Film Festival is more than one festival a year. It's a nonprofit arts organization that presents programs all year round. And we have these programs supporting filmmakers, and we have also a couple projects working with youth. We're going to present this year 5 films that we produce with youth from Empower Watsonville, and that's PBPSA. And the County Office of Education. That's a collaboration we have with them. So we have all kinds of projects and grants and support. And Amigos del Festival, I just want to say thank you to all these friends who support the festival with monthly donations. We start at $15, and we have special perks for them. We have events, we have sneak peeks, and we have T-shirts every year for them. So that's how we can do this work all year round.
Wonderful. And it is amazing how much you get from, out of your budget with all these different programs going around the year, and being able to support, not only to present these films, but also support some of the artists themselves in doing their films. The program includes mini shorts, as well as feature films. Are there some highlights of the festival that you're particularly excited about?
Yes. I would love to tell you more about ASCO, Without Permission. It's a film that premiered at South by Southwest. It opened the Los Angeles Latino International Film Festival, and it opened San Francisco Latino Film Festival. And we are bringing it to this region for the first time. And this is a genre-defined film that profiles the extraordinary Los Angeles-based Chicano art group of the 70s and 80s called ASCO, who merge activism and art as they challenge representation in the art world, Hollywood, and the news. And recognized in their time, they are now being considered amongst the most important artists of the 20th century. And the way the film is made is really, really interesting, because, of course, it has archival footage of these young people doing all this incredible performance on the streets and being very provocative, and then interviews with these artists who are now very well known. And then there are in reenactments of things that they did in this time. So it's a really interesting film. And so fiction and nonfiction are interconnected. And ASCO reimagines what's possible today in cinema and art while celebrating an iconoclastic group that was far ahead of their time. And I mean, very few people know about this group, ASCO.
Right, and I know what I know about them. One thing I know about them is that they were, at least in my experience, the first exposure I had to people challenging the roles that were typically given to people who in some cases California origin, but Mexican and Central American and South American peoples in the media, and how were consistently presented as these very shallow and very narrow stereotypes.
Exactly.
And I mean, obviously I had seen all those TV shows and movies growing up, but I hadn't really given it a whole lot of thought. And that's what I remember of ASCO, as the first time I heard that was because of their work.
Yes.
And,
yes, they are challenging those stereotypes. And they were like punks, and they were causing all kinds of crazy stuff on the street, and because they were not allowed in the museums. They were excluded. And so they were excluded of every space, and they created their own art outside. And it's a really wonderful documentary that is, the executive producers are Gael Garcia Bernal and Diego Luna. Wow. And they are behind this project that is really important to really see and know what Latino artists were doing in the 70s and the 80s, because that's not known. It's always like very shallow knowledge, and this is important as part of the arc of like where art was in this country, right? And so that's a really important film that we're bringing. And we also have the wonderful Following Harry, which is the documentary about Harry Belafonte. We're bringing that film, and he's basically following his last years as mainly an activist. He was incredible artist, an activist his whole life, and the last few years he was very focused on passing the baton to the new generation. And this is what the film is about, and it's wonderful. And we are working with Barrios Unidos to co-present this program. And Nane Alejandres is going to be one of our guest speakers for this film that is playing Sunday, March 15th.
Wonderful, yeah. Yeah, a great subject. Harry Belafonte is not only an activist and a great performer, but did so much to help other singers and musicians come up in the industry. And very, very selfless and brilliant human being. Part of your vision statement for Watsonville Film Festival is to uplift Latine, indigenous, and underrepresented filmmakers and stories that honor resilience, creativity, and dignity, while also creating spaces for audiences to engage, reflect, and take action. And I know for many listeners, that concept of underrepresented stories is not, it was a familiar idea, but it seems like such an important one because we're so immersed in storytelling of one form or another in this culture.
Yes.
Because so many people spend more time in front of a television screen than they do in conversation with people outside their immediate family. So that storytelling, to bring in stories that you otherwise wouldn't see, has some importance in that. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about how you've approached that, and the kinds of, and maybe some of the examples of the kinds of stories you're able to bring that people otherwise wouldn't hear.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for that question. Definitely is one of our key elements for the festival, how we put the festival together, how we envision the festival. And a perfect example of that is the program that we are going to have Saturday, March 14 at 3 p.m. We're going to present two 2 documentary films that are about women in our community. And they were created by women, female filmmakers in our community. So, and I'm one of them. So the film Libertad, it's a film that was 8 years in the making. The director is Brenda Avila Hanna. She is a local filmmaker. And she followed the story of Alejandra, who is an indigenous transgender woman who lives and works in Santa Cruz County. And I'm going to read the description of the film. After surviving a near-fatal assault, an indigenous transgender teen escaped Mexico 30 years ago, eventually becoming a trans healthcare provider in Santa Cruz, California. And however, when her mother's health starts to decline back in Mexico, she risks it all by petitioning for asylum as her only chance of seeing each other again before it's too late. So Alejandra is very well known in Santa Cruz County because she is the first person who receives transgender care. Her friend, the doctor who took care of her, started learning about transgender care to help Alejandra. And this is a very important story that happened here in Santa Cruz County. And we are thrilled to present this film. It premiered at New York Latino Film Festival. And for the first time, we are going to have it here in this region. Alejandra used to work at Planned Parenthood. So a lot of people there know her.
Wow. And yet this is a story that could be on the news, somewhere, anywhere in the world, and yet it's right here in our neighborhood, and most of us haven't heard this story. I certainly haven't.
Yes, and then Alejandra is so involved in the community. A couple years ago, she was the Grand Marshal for the Pajaro Valley Pride. So she's very involved. She's an activist for LGBTQ rights. So she's a leader in the community, and very few people know her outside our, community here in Watsonville and some places in Santa Cruz. So we're really excited to bring this film back home because it already premiered in other festivals, and it's going to be here for the first time. And then we have another film, same program. It's called The Long Labor. I'm the co-director with Brenda. And basically, during the pandemic, we saw our friend Maria Ascension Ramos Bracamonte really calling the community to support indigenous women who work in the fields. She's a midwife. She works with Salud para la Gente, and she works with a Watsonville Community Hospital. And she saw the great need of Oaxacan indigenous women during the pandemic because they were not receiving the basic service, they could not work, and so many people could get support, but they are so marginalized that she saw we needed to go there to support them. So she started calling community to support, to create kits for them, for basic needs and hygiene products and female products for women, and medicine for them that we made with traditional medicine. But she created this whole community to support women here in Watsonville working in the fields. And she's the founder of Campesina Womb Justice. Uh-huh. And she continues that work to support indigenous women. Now she has a doula program so the women can help women. And so she's an incredible, inspiring leader in our community, and we are very honored to tell her own story. And again, these are our local stories, and this is how we uplift and celebrate and honor our own community.
Mm-hmm. And these stories are so important. I think so much of mainstream news focuses on disasters, things that are not going well. Whether it's violence or accidents or climate disasters, whatever it might be, or scandals, and it's sort of, as they say, if it bleeds, it leads. That's where most of the news focuses,
right.
And yet daily life is made possible by so many people who actually create systems of care, I'll call
Exactly.
it, for the other people in their communities, and cooperate with each other to make that happen. And to be able to hear those stories, as well as all the negative news, is I think an important balance, because really that's the majority of what's going on.
Yes.
That's why we're all able to, go get food, eat.
Absolutely.
Make it to be from our homes to wherever we're going and back, is because of all these people and support systems working together. So to be able to amplify that, I think is so, for one thing, it's important for us to remember it, but also a source of inspiration to recognize that you can hear all this very negative news, but that's really just a small part of the story, and we have to stay mindful of that.
Yes, look for the other stories. And these are stories of solidarity, these are stories of dignity, of healing, and I exactly what you said, systems of care. The community has that agency to support each other.
Yeah, and we all have the capacity to be agents of that. For anyone who's just tuning in, my guest is Consuelo Alba. She is the executive director and co-founder of Watsonville Film Festival, which is about to begin its 14th annual film festival. And Consuelo, you mentioned you have these year-round programs, and you've spoken about it a little bit, but I wondered if you could give us a little bit more description of what's going on in year-round, and don't be shy about repeating yourself.
It's okay. Yes, we have programs all year round. In fact, this year in April, after the festival, we are going to participate in the Ripple Effect Festival. Here, April 18 is a day dedicated to Watsonville. So many organizations here in Watsonville are working together. We're going to present a couple films about Mexican muralists and a film titled Strawberry Picker, which is about Juan Fuentes. He grew up here in Watsonville, and his artwork is now part of these monumental murals in mosaic that we have here at the parking structure. So it's a fabulous story about Juan Fuentes and how he grew up here in Watsonville and then became very successful in the Mission District in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and anyone who hasn't seen the murals, and not just the ones around the parking structure on Main Street, but there's other beautiful murals in Watsonville. It's worth a walking tour, and reminds me, I've done tours of the murals in the Mission District in San Francisco, and it's beautiful to see all this expression and history relayed through the murals, and they're just, the art is fabulous. So, and it's right there on the street.
Yes, exactly.
You don't have to go to a big museum to see it. So
exactly. So there are going to be walking tours April 18, connected to the films, and Watsonville Brillante is going to do art tours, and there are going to be different activities in downtown Watsonville, April 18. So we're participating in that, and we have big news. May 2nd. We are going to bring the fantastic film American Pachuco, The Legend of Luis Valdez. This is a film that premiered at Sundance this year and received 2 awards. And so we have been working with the directors to bring the film. We couldn't get them in time for the festival, but we are doing this in May. So we're working with another film festival, Puppy Jasper International Film Festival, to do a double program, one in Gilroy, May 1st, and May 2nd in Watsonville.
Fabulous.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Sundance
those are our
award-winning
programs.
Film. Yeah. Terrific.
And then we work with youth throughout the year. We work with Empower Watsonville and Pajaro Valley Prevention and Student Assistance. It's a wonderful group of youth, and we work with them to produce short films. And they basically lead the process about what are the stories they want to tell. And we provide support, technical support to tell those stories. So we meet with them, we have workshops with them, and that we are going to premiere 5 of these shorts at the festival Sunday, March 15th. So that's another program that we have throughout the year. And then we have our activities with filmmakers. We activate this space here in downtown Watsonville to invite filmmakers to connect, to share their projects so they can collaborate. And then we have different workshops and meetups with filmmakers.
Wonderful. Well, we're almost out of time, and just want to let listeners know the 14th Annual Watsonville Film Festival begins Thursday, March 12th, runs through Saturday, March 21st, with showings in Watsonville and during the second weekend in Salinas and in Santa Cruz. And Consuelo, I want to invite you to tell us anything else you want us to remember going forward into this 14th year of Watsonville Film Festival.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to share more about our program and our work. It's going to be a wonderful festival. We're very excited to host so many filmmakers that are coming from all over the place, from the Bay Area, LA, San Francisco, Mexico City, even Chile. They are traveling to be here with us. And we are going to be in Watsonville, Salinas, and Santa Cruz. I hope you can join us in Santa Cruz. We have a very special program there. And we have 2 feature films. One is Between the Sun and the Sidewalk, which follows the campaign of young people, and Soda Tax. A soda tax campaign, which in Santa Cruz is relevant, and we are going to talk with the organizers of that campaign, which really it's about organizing and inviting everybody to participate as members of the community, to be active, to be civically active. That's the goal. And then we close the festival with Traces of Home. It's a wonderful documentary that won Best Film at the New York Documentary Film Festival, and it's about a Palestinian and Mexican family, and it's a story of healing and home.
And I believe people can get more information at watsonvillefilmfest.org. Is that correct?
That's correct. watsonvillefilmfest.org. That's our website. You can see our program there. From there, you click to go to our full festival program. There is an extra click from our website to the platform. But you can see trailers, you can read about all the films. We're presenting more than 50 films. We will have more than 20 events.
Fabulous. Well, Consuelo Alba, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much for being on the program, and I look forward again to attending Watsonville Film Festival this year, and I hope to see lots of you listeners there when I'm there and at the after party. If you see a tall guy wearing a K-Squid hat, it might be me. Right. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
And as an added bonus, we have a short interview here with Lily Arlene Gomez. She is the program coordinator for Watsonville Film Festival. So could you introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you do here?
Yes. Hello, my name is Lily Arlene Gomez. I am the program coordinator for the Watsonville Film Festival and have been here for a couple months. It's my first time coordinating for 2026 Watsonville Film Festival, so it's something big year for me.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And what do you do as the program coordinator?
Well, so far I've been learning that as coordinator, you're a little bit of the runner of the show once it comes to the festival dates, like being on the movie theater. But before that, it involves a little bit of everything, like connecting with the filmmakers, planning if they're coming or if they're attending, reaching out to sometimes artists to hired them for our after party, so that's been pretty fun for me. Brainstorming ideas on outreach or going to, for example, with my coworker Eric, he's the media marketing specialist, and him and I have gone out to schools. We went to CSUMB, we did a couple of meetings here at the Mello Center as well, presentations for students in high schools, and just like reaching out, doing educational outreach. So it's not just involving in the festival, but it's also outside of doing things for the festival, is education, again, educational outreach, community engagement, creating a filmmakers hub, which has been kind of like our priority this year. And yeah, it's been
Wonderful.
very fun.
And I understand you're also a filmmaker.
Yes, I am.
And have you had films in the festival in the past?
Yes. So last year on 2025, I presented my film thesis, or for that I graduated CSUMB with, my film school with. It was titled ¿Qué fue de Lalo? It was my first festival experience with Watsonville Film Festival, my first premiere for the film. So it was a very big deal, and it was really fun. I loved the community that I met there and created, and all the filmmakers that I connected with, all the people that experienced my film and all the films that I also experienced. So it was really amazing. But before my experience with Watsonville Film Festival, I was working with Consuelo, the director, and I was working with Brenda as well, one of the board of directors, in other projects like passion independent projects. And so I created that bond with them, and I was just like, I want to be part of this more, so how can I connect? And so after I experienced the film festival as a filmmaker, I was like, okay, how can I be part of that movement? How can I be part of that organization? And so now I'm here.
Wonderful. And what are you looking forward to most in this year's festival?
Meeting all the filmmakers, connecting with them again. It's been fun, a little bit like, it's been a little bit of both worlds. With the rush, with the deadlines, stress picks up, but I've been remaining excited because I get to reach out to these award-winning filmmakers or filmmakers that are from outside of the region or even internationals. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to. And again, also just like all the reactions, now being part of kind of like behind of the scenes instead of being the spectator, that's what I'm excited for. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Wonderful. Lily, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for taking a few minutes to talk with us.
Of course, thank you.